The Democrat-led push to have illegal immigrants participate in local elections has been dealt another setback in Washington, D.C. Last week, the House voted 260 to 162 for a resolution to overturn a bill passed by the D.C. Council in October. That bill would allow non-citizens the opportunity to vote in local elections. 42 Democrats joining Republicans to overturn the D.C. bill. Republican Congressman from Ohio Jim Jordan called the D.C. measure ridiculous, adding only Americans should vote in American elections. I mean, Jake, that seems like common sense to me.
It's amazing how far left the Overton window has shifted to say that American citizens can only vote in American elections. That's somehow controversial. You know, like D.C. home rule, the left pretends that was like chiseled into Plymouth Rock. That is a relatively recent invention. 1973 is when so-called D.C. home rule began. That has been a failed 50-year experiment. Everyone who has lived or traveled to D.C. knows it is a crime-ridden dumpster fire of a city right now. It's time for Congress to overturn the D.C. City Council's authority and restore oversight to Congress where it belongs.
You know, Martha, I mean, this comes sort of this push from the left to allow non-citizens to vote at a time where we also have open borders. That seems like a problem to me.
You know, I agree with Jake. It's like, you know, to allow Americans only to vote in American elections seems like something we shouldn't even have to talk about. And if D.C. wants to pass that law, pass that rule, then they are under the current constitutional setup, the potential that the House might overturn that decision. So it seems to me that, you know, I don't expect to be able to vote in France or anywhere else in the world. Immigrants who come to this country, there's a rich tradition of that. Becoming a citizen and earning the right to vote is a revered, huge moment for people who come here legally. I know many of them who earn the right to vote here, and I don't think that they would take kindly to having other people who didn't go through that process have the right that they so fervently sought and studied for the test and passed and had the right to raise their hand in that state house or wherever they took that oath and have the right to vote. This is it's a sacred thing. No,
well, you know, and Michelle, this comes in Washington, D.C., where you have so many embassies. We just got done hearing about Russia collusion, influence in our elections, but isn't this allowing for that?
It totally is. Imagine you're the Chinese embassy and you find out that all your employees can vote now because they live in D.C. Well, let's just send a bunch more over there. We need more workers at the Chinese embassy. I mean, does Emily in Paris, does she vote in the French elections? I highly doubt it. I highly doubt it.
I'm a fan.
But yeah,
Who is Emily and why is she in Paris?
Well, we'll get to that in the break.
Well, Michelle, finish your thought. We'll get to that.
It's really not important.
But this notion that just anyone, really anyone, can vote in our elections, because that's what this is open to. It's any old person. You know, whether they're here legally, and it's just, this is, again, and this is how they couched it. So many of them are black and brown people, and they deserve the vote. They deserve to be heard. Well, yeah, they do if they're citizens, but there's that virtue signaling again of, you know, you're oppressing black and brown people, and it's just so, it's bad.
But I mean, Kennedy, you know, to Martha's point, isn't it? It's a sacred right of an American citizen to be able to vote. You're still on Emily in Paris. Kennedy. It is a great show.
I'm glad she used that word because I agree with you completely. You know, my mom came over as a kid, and some of the most patriotic people I know are people who, and a lot of people who come to this country have suffered through a great deal, especially communism, to get here and live the American dream. So you have two completely different questions here, which are being conflated together unfairly and illogically. You've got immigration. We do have a broken immigration system. And, you know, there are a lot of times where we need more people in this country to do hard jobs. And, you know, sometimes they want to go back to their home countries and other times they want to become citizens. But citizenship and immigration are two distinctly different things, and we have to treat them as such. Citizenship is sacred, and we have to be able to have a way of having more better people come to the country to work hard. And then eventually, yes, they can earn the right of citizenship. But it is not something that is bestowed upon someone lightly, and we shouldn't treat it like that. Right. And of course, you know, everything becomes an issue about people who have been marginalized. Yeah. But if our system is broken, then fix it. So people aren't marginalized, but it's not the way to do that by circumventing federal law.
But I wonder if conflating the two is intentional.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, because you have a controllable voting bloc that you think very little of, and you assume if there are more people who look a certain way way they will vote how you tell them to vote. That is groupthink, and that turns into authoritarianism.
And they also want statehood, which could lead to more senators. I mean, this is a very layered desire on the part of a lot of people in D.C. to make that happen.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.